School officials in San Francisco have laid on extra heavy security so far this fall semester to try and cool racial tensions boiling in some of the city's high schools. As one high school principal put it, safety has become the top priority, even ahead of teaching. Gary Kauf reports.
Just before lunchtime at Washington High, armed police at the gate, uniformed security personnel outside, counselors and teachers patrolling inside. Here they caught two non-students on campus. These are tense times in San Francisco high schools, and security is the word. Security to keep drug dealers and other undesirables out, and to keep racial tensions down.
Most of it's racial.
Yeah. Like how?
Normally, like the blacks against the Chinese is what most of the fights be going on.
It just, when black kids mess with Chinese kids or something like that, that's the only time gang relation things happen.
There's always the opportunity for an incident. We do have kids who hang around together. I think there's always a chance something could happen. We usually deal with it severely.
School officials are investigating an incident that happened last Friday here at a delicatessen near campus. A group of Asian immigrants who call themselves the Fobs, for fresh off the boat, went after a white student with pool cues and left him bleeding. It's not clear if he provoked the group.
Fobs don't really like to hurt nobody, and just until you.
A lot of fights and stuff, violence and stuff, but this year has been quiet so far.
So far. Officials are hoping it stays that way. In San Francisco, Gary Kauf for 2 at noon.
2 officers were gunned down in the line of duty today. Officer Gene Simpson was a 19-year veteran of the department. Officer Gordon Silver had been there 17 years. Catherine Heenan is in the South Bay tonight with the story of a routine call that turned to tragedy. Catherine?
Gary, what happened today has shocked this community, obviously, particularly the people who worked with those 2 men. Here at the San Jose Police Department, the flag today was at half staff. Officers tonight are wearing black stripes over their badges. The trouble started earlier today, Gary, about lunchtime, with reports of trouble, a man making trouble at a downtown donut shop. There was a confrontation, and at some point, the suspect grabbed Officer Gene Simpson's gun.
Code 3 ambulance or suspect.
King 6, we have Code 3 paramedics responding. The party is down and shot in front of the donut shop.
Let's go, clear, let's go. Officer down over here.
After the shock and confusion of the first minutes, it became clear that Officer Gene Simpson had been shot with his own gun. Witnesses came forward to describe seeing the desperate officer running for cover once unarmed.
The cop started running toward the front door. He saw the guy with the gun. The guy turned around with the gun, was holding it, and started running after the cop. The cop ran to get behind the cars, and the guy proceeded to run around the cars and chase him with the gun.
The officer ran behind cars. The suspect chased him and fired at him. The unfortunate fact is that apparently the officer was hit and went down. The suspect went up and shot him in the head.
Moments later, Officer Gordon Silva came to the rescue. But the 39-year-old officer was also shot, and tonight, Silva died. Seconds after the officers were gunned down, a student camera crew from Santa Clara University, which happened to be in the same area, captured the frantic moments which followed. You are seeing the suspect seconds before he was shot and killed by police.
They got him.
Stay down, okay?
Just stay down.
Stay down.
Stay down.
Stay down.
Gary, the police, by the way, have a copy of that tape. They have looked at it carefully. We know a little bit more, not a lot, about the suspect. His name has been released tonight. It is Dale Randy Connors. He was 35 years old. He was described simply as a street person. Beyond that, not much detail, Gary.
Catherine, do they know yet? Have they figured out how Connors got the officer's gun?
We know a little bit more about it, Gary. The police department is saying that the officer was trying to calm this man. He was belligerent, and the man at some point hit him, and they both fell to the ground. And as Officer Simpson was struggling to his knees, they say the suspect at that point twisted the gun out of his holster.
Thank you, Catherine. Catherine Heenan in the South Bay, where, as she reported, 2 San Jose police officers shot to death today.
Peer pressure. It is a major problem for any child. But if that child is black and from a low-income neighborhood, much of that pressure is negative. Robert can vouch for that.
You talk good English, you get good grades in school, things like that. The first thing that they think of, oh, you trying to act white, you want to be a white person.
When his grades were only so-so, Alvin had few problems with his friends. Then
I start pulling up my grades, and to them it's like I'm not being their friend no more. I mean, they just look at me as though, You let me down.
Negative peer pressure. A recent study done in Washington, D.C. says it may be the major reason why black students often lag behind in school. University of the District of Columbia anthropologist Signithia Fordham co-authored the study.
In the larger society, there's an individualism ethos, where everybody is an individual, you're just an individual. And black kids don't operate like that. They see themselves, their future and their life intimately linked to the group. And the pressure is there to remain loyal to the group because of the oppression that exists in the society.
Helena Jones, principal of Roper Junior High School, fights that problem every day.
Sometimes they're even told what their chances are. Society itself sometimes says that to the students, that despite your efforts, in the end, you'll end up where you are now.
So many black students give up, trying to save themselves the double hurt of losing their friends and still not making it. 15-year-old Percy Harper, whose teachers say he is smart, often doesn't answer questions in class, even when he knows the answers, because his classmates won't answer.
Why would you not answer just because they don't answer?
Because they probably say the same thing. He's trying to know everything. He acting all white.
To overcome that kind of thinking, Eastern High Principal Ralph Neal works hard encouraging his students.
Congratulations. Keep up the good work, young ladies and young men.
Once a month, he rewards the top students at a lunch with school officials, including the superintendent of schools, who endorses the peer pressure study. But Neal feels that talk of negative peer pressure reinforces racism.
This impression might lead white America to think that blacks do not want to achieve. I don't feel as though that blacks do not want to achieve.
And neither does Helena Jones, but she knows the problem is real.
What we have to do as blacks is to be realistic. We must be willing to let society know that we do have problems, and we are being racist ourselves if we don't deal with it.
Among blacks, negative peer pressure has been an unspoken problem for generations. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says he was held up to contempt for his academic achievements, so now he tries to be a role model.
You can't let people who are going nowhere form your opinions. But that's a hard thing to show to a kid, because at that age, young people are just involved in what is immediately gratifying.
And when that message gets through, there are some success stories.
I do better because I want to do better. Regardless of the grades I make, I'm still going to try to pull friends.
If I'm making good grades, I don't care what they say about me.
It will not be easy to convince America's black children that school is not a waste of their time. But admitting the depth of the problem is a giant first step.